Premier League Poker is back. Season 5 sees our greatest lineup yet come all the way to Vienna to be crowned Premier League Poker champion. This season, our 16 Premier League players have been divided into 2 groups of 8. They each play 4 heats and are awarded points based on where they finish in each game. Group A is halfway through their second league match, and they're all eager to take down maximum points to help them progress through to the final table. This is what happened last time when Group A returned to the Felds.
Going into Group A's second league match, Phil Laak led the group. Andy Frankenberger and Matthew Frankland joined him in the top 3. In the playoff zone was Sam Trickett and Tony G, and in the elimination zone was Eugene Katchalov, Erik Seidel, and Luke Schwartz. 3 levels played out until we saw a player exit the game, and it was Matthew Frankland who was awarded the bagel when he went all in with a pair of 9s and was called by Katchalov's kings. A king came on the flop to seal Frankland's fate. Then Phil Laak took on the Premier League mixed game champion Andy Frankenberger, who hit trips on the flop. The World Open 4 champion went on to make a straight on the river and went all in. Frankenberger, scared of the flush and straight possibilities, folded, and Laak took down the pot.
That was the worst river imaginable, I'll tell you that. It was either the best or the worst.
After that hand, Phil Laak moves into 4th position with 305K. But it is Eugene Katchalov that still leads the pack with just over 600,000. The blinds will soon be going up, and the pressure will be on for Luke Schwartz, who needs a big finish to help him secure a place at the final table.
Bringing you all the action from this league match, it's your commentary team, Jesse May and Yevgeniy Timoshenko.
Thanks, Kara. This Group A match, Heat 2, very cagey so far. I'm joined again by Yevgeniy Timoshenko, who's playing in Group B. And Yevgeniy, what dynamics contributed to going so long without players getting knocked out?
I think everyone's really mindful of the points and no one wants to get a bagel. And we also haven't seen very many setup hands where both players have a huge hand and it's kind of a cooler situation. The hands have been someone flops a big hand and no one really has anything to pay them with. So I think those are the big reasons.
You know, Phil Laak, who won his first match, he's such an unorthodox player. It's almost like he's doing his own thing different than anybody else in the Premier League. What do you make of his style?
I have no idea how he does it, but whatever he's doing, it's working. If he wins this one, I may have to adopt a Phil Laak style of play and just do the exact opposite of what I actually want to do on every hand.
He's got the banter, Phil Laak, and we'll see if he can also win his second group match.
I gotta deal with the stare down just to steal a freaking blind.
I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home.
Oh, sweat.
This is a standard fold. Phil has lost his mind.
We understand that you're not very good, but you're a nice guy. I'm not getting any respect. I got confused for a second. Donkey.
I'm left with Zaskar.
First time you got to watch that? Yeah, I felt so good. Like, I looked at 10-10 suited and I was kind of disappointed.
6-4.
Twos, threes, fours, fives.
1 raise, 20,000. 2, 4, 3, 4.
Wish your ace clean, then you wouldn't have hesitated.
Raise, 55. Can I have it?
What's that? Oh, I've been going, sorry. get a replay. It's a big enough.
12 fold. One raise, 100.
Speed.
4 fold. Two more hands in this level.
How many?
2 hands.
Discount period's ending.
Seven fold, 1 fold, 2 fold, 3 fold. For raise 20,000, 5 fold. Six fold. What's up?
Check.
6 check. For bet 25. 6 fold.
Extra shot. Extra shot. Long way to go. We just played stable. I got a broad too. 10 holes.
It's funny because cash games I can stay awake after this for 2 days.
2 folds.
No brothers. Of course. I've never done it.
Especially though, like really hard turns. It just kills you after that. Right?
3 raise all in.
He's farting.
4 fold, 5 fold.
How much did he bet? 70?
76.
No. Is that one supposed to come? What's nine off suit? Off suit? Sort of brittle. I'm just so happy to have a little bit of. They're rocking up there. I don't know. I beat him in another pot. He can win one. Whatever.
Yeah.
I
Beats
can't
beats the wrong
afford
word,
that, right?
Got there.
If you made that big bluff play and you really like, you're gonna be respected on a There's gonna be a lot of talk about that. Like,
What if I turn it straight into a bluff? How do I get? What I get lamb blasted then, right?
if you bet the straight, that would have been crazy.
Right. That's suicidal.
I guess that's like probably not a bad play.
It's funny.
Representing
It
a
may be
bluff.
the first time Phil
You
Laak's
actually
ever
have
turned a
something, but
straight
it's not
into
what
a
they
bluff.
think it is.
I wonder if he didn't even realize he had the straight. It was all so instantaneous.
Raise all in.
And that's what happens if you're Frankenberger. You just wait around long enough, you find the tens.
He's in a great position, double up here.
I played 0 pots and then I got the coffee and I started.
The difference in the philosophies of Trickett and Laak.
All in. Seat number 4, raise all in.
happy you just...
Laak will fold the ace-9 in that spot, trick it all in with the 2 5s. Even knowing that he's racing quite often.
You don't mind a race right now when both of the blinds get out. There's a lot of overlay for you to race against Frankenberger's 5 big blind stack.
With the extra chips in the middle and all that. But for Andy Frankenberger and Luke Schwartz a little bit disappointed because he wouldn't have minded. Oh, not anymore, he thinks.
Don't act like you're all surprised.
Still got to fight some cards. Look, at least it evens the competition up.
Frankenberger is going to feel a bit aggrieved.
Oh, I was nearly there.
First losing with the set of kings, now getting underpaired.
We should get some money for that, like second prize or something.
Quads.
And quads.
Put some legitimacy.
He'll go out in 7th, Yevgeniy, but for Andy Frankenberger, I mean, 2 points here, 11 points last time out. He's still going to be in the top 5 for sure, right?
Yeah, he's still doing very well. He's in a good position with 2 more matches.
He'll be back, the Frankenberger effect.
He was chirping. Yeah, of course, he was happy for ages.
Look at the chips now. Eugene Katchalov still leading, but Sam Trickett on the upward swing. What's the most important dynamic for you right now, Yevgeniy?
I think if you're Eugene Katchalov or Sam Trickett, applying pressure to the middling stacks like Erik, Seidel, and Phil Laak, with both Tony and Luke Schwartz being pretty short with less than 20 big blinds.
And he adds 2 more points to the 11 that he took home from the first heat. It was the hand against Phil Laak that really got you. At that point, you went short stacked. Were you thinking about points then? Because you did seem to fold a fair amount. You folded down to about 5 big blinds, I think, at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really fold many playable hands. The first time I had an ace, I shoved and got a couple folds, which was nice. And then my bust out hands, 10s under 5, that's variance just coming to get me.
Yeah, unfortunate there. Hitting quads against you was, very lucky. You also had Sam against you on your left in both of the heats. Not easy for you.
No, and today was even worse because we had Luke on his left and Matt to his left. As we saw in a couple hands, Matt's capable of 4-betting light. So the 3 of them, 1, 2, 3 combo was really, really tough spot for me. So today was not my day.
Andy Frankenberger's out, leaving us down to 6. And each of these guaranteed 3 points.
1, 2, 3, 6. So
3 of them
went out 0 and 2. The next
can
guy's
certainly
4, right?
use them. That's the 3 currently in
You had a downgrade.
the elimination zone after that first match. Katchalov, Seidel, and Schwartz. So they all feel like they've done what they needed to do up to this point. Although Luke Schwartz currently on the short stack. Trickett's having a look over at Tony G. Trickett's obviously got plenty of chips. Tony is on, like, I guess about 16 big blinds before the hand started. Or pardon me, more like 14.
Yeah, Sam Trickett is trying to figure out if he has fold equity if he shoves against Tony here.
We did see Tony's a little lighter, do the same move with a little lighter. Last round he had the ace-6, so I guess it is in his range to be lighter than this right now?
Yeah, he's definitely capable of having a weak hand here that would fold to the re-raise.
Call.
Trickett's gone for it, and he's not going to like the result. You think it was a reasonable play for sure?
I definitely think it was a reasonable play. To say it was a bad play just because Tony G had ace-queen and called is being results-oriented.
But it really is top of his range. G all in now, though, and Trickett's still got a few ways to bust him. Not as many now.
10 of spades somewhere. Somewhere, I don't know where it is. It's like one. Probably it might be the burnt card there. It's going to be close.
Give him the 10 of spades.
Right.
Ask and ye shall receive, perhaps.
Zasko's in business. He here, baby.
I should have folded.
And the ace.
It's 226, I think.
At least you made a commitment to the pot.
I ain't gonna fold that.
You're a donkey. You played it like a donkey. You've got it there.
26. 226.
Zasko.
226.
Yeah.
Congratulations, says Tony G to himself.
I deserve it. Like. Zasko's excited. He's got now some room to have a good look.
Poker's elite continue to battle it out here in Vienna for maximum points in this league match after the break. Welcome back to Season 5 of Premier League Poker from the Gasometer Complex in Vienna. Tony G has brought a collection of animals to the table to bring him luck tonight. Let's go back over to your commentators, Jesse May and Yevgeniy Timoshenko.
Zasko, look at him. He's fired up.
I thought Luke was Zasko.
Luke's the I think there's a wolf and a dog, but I mean, if anybody can tell the difference between the wolf and the dog, they
Maybe he has two dogs.
Two dogs.
Zasko is his, and the other one is Luke's.
It's 0 for the first guy out.
2, 3, 4. That's how it goes.
You know, Luke Schwartz made a re-raise with the ace-jack against the Seidel Open earlier, and the result wasn't a great result.
I've seen it on paper 3 times, and I just know 16
Katchalov's
is first, I did that one.
done the same.
I know, really. It's like
That's all
11.
you need to know. Like,
I remember 11 was second.
good at first.
It's very similar spot, actually, as far as that Trickett thing was concerned, which is that Seidel can't really 4-bet light.
Yeah, but now that Frankenberger is gone, he's less worried about being next out because Luke is the only other short stack. But I think more so now it's the fact that Eugene has played very tight and Erik respects his game. And Erik respects his re-raise in that spot.
Game goes on as these players try to manage the rising blinds. Premier League Poker 5, Group A, Heat 2.
4, raise 30.
Schwartz he's looking a little frustrated here. Must be a card dead type issue. Although that said, Trickett raised from the button and Luke did find an ace. I mean...
Oh, I didn't see that Trickett open the spot.
Yeah. I mean, would you have shoved with Luke's hand ace-3, or maybe did he have just a few too many blinds to shove with that hand? 12 bigs against a button open.
I think he had a few too little blinds. With only 12 big blinds, you expect Sam Trickett to be calling you quite often, and even calling with some very marginal aces that you don't want to be called with, like ace-7 and higher, that actually have you dominated.
Check.
Tony G checked the he checked the straight flush draw twice.
No, he's to show. He raised.
Who's to show?
Yeah, but now now there was no aggression in the
There's
last.
been no bet.
Check river, I'm sure he
What
shows.
is it? We should know because we're having 2 more heats.
River, check.
Trickett's not interested in showing his hand, and for obvious reasons.
That's miles anyway.
Has he got a flush? Oh.
And a straight.
And a straight.
Yeah.
The flush is the better part of the hand, though, Tony, because if he
Never
has
be
a
too
straight
careful,
card.
though, can you? You can never be too careful. So. I could have a bigger flush. Like, what are you going to get called by? You're going to get called when you beat.
You made some good checks.
8 more hands till the blinds are going to go 7 and 15 to 10 and 20, and 6-handed 10 and 20,000. That's well, it's pretty crazy now. I mean, when you're in a spot like this, he's found a good spot for it, Luke Schwartz. Waited forever for that hand.
Oh, wow.
Wow is right. And Luke knows that's bad news, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
There may have been a couple light 4-bets out there, but not the re-all-in by Tony G.
I'm sure he was very happy to get his chips in with ace-10 suited there until Tony G re-raised behind.
Well, we saw Trickett fold an ace. The huge likelihood here that Luke Schwartz is now going to be out in 6th position, 3 points through 2 heats. Not good.
You just want to look at the very end, is that it?
Yeah. And Phil, don't slow on me and pretend an ace came.
Nope. I'm not going to say a word. I'm not participating. I'm merely observing.
Luke wants quiet. He doesn't like it.
There's something there. There's something there.
There's some potential there.
A queen
with
now
backdoor flush and straight draws.
Yeah.
Actually, queen gives you more outs.
There's hope.
Queen gives you more outs now.
Now, Jack of Spades is another card. Or an ace, of course.
There she is.
Oh,
Okay,
Lord.
Wait.
I'm feeling some black cards.
11 outs. 22% or so.
24% according to the computer. Not terrible.
No, I just want to put it on. I just want to see if it's black.
It's not black. It's not an ace. It's not good. It's Schwartz in
I'm
6th.
repossessing that stack. Take the dummy. It was a good move.
Yevgeniy, that destines Luke guaranteed to be in last place after 2 heats. He has not had a good Premier League so far.
That makes it hard for him to come back. He can just win twice. That's tough. Now he's got 2 points.
He's got 2 in 2 heats.
He has a really steep mountain to climb now to make the finals.
Schwartz will probably be focused on the playoff zone now, but looking at the 5 left, Tony G a chance to make a real impact here in Group A, along with Katchalov and Seidel. In fact, probably most of them are thinking the sooner Phil Laak gets out, the better.
It seemed like a kind of a cautious table compared to the last heat. Were you happy with the way that you were playing particularly?
I mean, I didn't really pick up. Ace Queen was the best hand I had the whole day, really, and I had to fold it because to Tony. But then I got Ace 10 of Spades as my bust-out hand. Sam had been opening a lot, so it was I had about 15 blinds or something, so it was a pretty easy all-in for me on the button. And then Tony G woke up with queens in the big blind and can't win. So I've got a lot of work to do. I still think I'm a good chance to get into the playoffs. Probably won't get to qualify straight into the... And I could if I get first and a second or something. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks.
There's not much like a Tony G show, and I mean in the Premier League Poker 4, Yevgeniy, where Tony G finished, I think, bottom of the league. I don't think he ever had a big stack one time.
Yeah, he didn't really do much in the previous Premier League.
He has had a third and a second in sort of old Premier Leagues. Katchalov seems to be looking more at the players behind him here, Yevgeniy, than Laak, who's opened this pot. And decided to just call here. Why not 3-bet? You would never expect Laak to 4-bet you light.
Yeah, but Phil Laak only has 20 big blinds, and he's going to feel really bad if he re-raises here and then gets shoved on and is actually tempted to call it off with the good price he'd be laying. He must think that just flatting in position is a much better play than re-raising here and having to fold after putting in an effective almost quarter of Phil Laak's stack.
And with that kind of flop, who could blame him? But is it dangerous? That's what it feels like can happen when you check the flop. Or is Katchalov, is he prepared for that?
He got a very bad turn card here, but I actually kind of like his check back on the river because it's very deceptive.
And he's obviously not calling here to hit a king or queen. I mean, he obviously is recognizing that Tony G doesn't have it a lot.
He thinks he has the best hand here.
How big a bet is he prepared to call? Or it's just not in Tony G's nature to make the big bluff on the river?
I'm surprised that Eugene didn't bet this river, even though Tony didn't have a hand he could call with. That's a spot where Tony certainly would have bet the river with a 10. So I'd feel pretty safe if I'm Eugene betting the river.
Yeah, that's how, I mean, Tony loves that, the big bets on the river when he's got a really good hand, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He doesn't fail to extract or try and extract value. When you think about that pot, the Katchalov just won, he never would have picked up 60,000 had he bet the flop. He might have had to sweat a little bit.
Yeah, as it turns out, he probably made the most money with that hand by checking the flop back.
Laak and Tony G have played a couple of blind battles here. Most of them initiated by Tony G limping in, and he's found Laak with a big hand now, big flop.
I don't think Phil's gonna get very much action here, regardless of what he does. Tony only has king high.
It always feels like Laak is so, he doesn't like to get the money in before the end, and he knows he's got the best hand. I mean, you know, it feels like anybody would raise here, and Laak is trying to think of a reason not to. Is there one?
Well, the reason not to is Tony G has no hand here so much that Phil is thinking of
all in.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, it's not for the first time that Laak he seems to play in such a way that ensures he doesn't go out. But at the same time, you don't make money at the most money on your hands. How do you balance that?
That's true. And by moving all in there, he actually folds out hands that he wants shoving on him if he makes a standard raise. And at the same time also gives Tony a very easy call with an ace, because Phil's hand looks like exactly what he has. He wouldn't do that with an ace or better.
It's almost counterintuitive sometimes, the way it looks like Phil Laak is playing Yevgeniy. It's like, you know, he's trying to make sure that he's surviving, and yet he's always kind of going to hang around on the short stack at the same time.
But he finds the way to win at the end. So whatever he's doing and whatever he's drinking, I want some of that.
Yeah, and so do you think people are starting to look at him and think, you know, maybe he's got something?
Oh, he definitely has something. He's a very capable player, and he pays a lot of attention to the point structure and analyzes the tables a lot, so it's not just complete random luck for him.
That's 35.
Trickett peeling off or it was Seidel peeling off the flop against Trickett. I had that backwards. And
two more
pot's over now on the blinds. 105 hands have played out, which means the blinds are going up to 10 and 20,000. And it is Eugene Katchalov that sits at the top of the table. He's putting himself in a great position to win maximum points in this second league match.
In 2011 was really big for me. Obviously, I won Bluff Player of the Year. I won the super high roller in the Bahamas. I won a bracelet in the summer. So I just had a fantastical year, and I had like 6 or 7 final tables. So it was amazing. I think I have the reputation of a good guy, I guess, in poker, of just a nice guy. I don't try to like offend anyone or anything. So I think I'm pretty calm and, I don't know, and friendly, I guess. To win the Premier League would mean a lot for me. Even though the field is only 16 players, it's 16 super tough players. And because everyone's putting up so much money, you know everyone's going to be trying really, really hard to win. I think we do put our reputations on the line a little bit because it's such a unique structure that I personally have never played with, and I would imagine most of these people have never played with. So I guess the audience is going to see how we adjust, if we adjust at all. You know, it's a lot of pressure on us, but it should be fun.
Wow.
Lines up, 10 and 20,000. You know, when you think about where Phil Laak's decisions, where they really diverge from what a lot of the, you know, the young internet players will consider standard, it seems to have to do with when he gets all the money in pre-flop.
Yeah, it does. He seems to be a lot more risk-averse than a lot of players.
7-4.
Am I an idiot, or why can't I remember? What did Eugene have? Why does Eugene have?
I mean, I guess you could also say that about his flop turn and river play.
That's true. And with how his Premier League career has gone so far, he shouldn't change a thing.
No, he definitely should.
To check.
Maybe only his final table approaches.
That's true. That's the one time he doesn't win most of the time.
Bet 20,000.
It's amazing, actually, yeah. Well, it's been a limp pot, and now Seidel leading out as soon as Katchalov has picked up the straight draw.
3 call.
These two seem to have a lot of professional respect for each other. How much trouble is this going to be for Seidel?
I don't think it's going to be a lot of trouble. I think he's gonna bet out here. But I wouldn't be surprised if he found a fold here after Katchalov raises.
And these two obviously have history stretching back probably years, so Katchalov will just instinctively know what size raise is going to look the fishiest. And by the look on Seidel's face, that's it.
There was a flush draw on the turn, so Seidel might think he called with a flush draw, missed it, and decided to bluff the straight draw that came in instead. But I think Katchalov isn't the type to be bluffing here very often. And he doesn't have a straight. He can be doing this with just 2 pair. So there's a lot of hands that Seidel could be beat by right now.
Wait, the deep stacks are designed for the...
Blinds are 10 and 20, so the difference between 350 and 280 as far as number of blinds go is obviously 17 or 14. You know, that's basically just a round of the table as far as when he's going to have to get the money in. And if he can pick up this pot, he'll start thinking about top 2, top 3. Maybe that's what made him call. I don't know.
I don't know the history between these players. I would have thought Erik would lay that hand down, but maybe they have a long history, and Erik has caught Eugene bluffing in a spot like this before.
They have to. I mean, they play too many of the big tournaments together not to have run into each other, right?
I'm just used to Erik Seidel making the right decision, so I was surprised him calling and being wrong for once.
That has knocked Seidel's Premier League aspirations not out, but when you have to think about trying to make sure you can comfortably get in the playoff zone, and the final table will be a bonus.
7-4.
Trickett saying he's had a lot of tough decisions. I guess he has. I mean, you know, I feel like the most surprising thing Trickett's done today is not bet the river against Laak. Not because everyone would do it there, but because he's been making so many good decisions against Phil.
And Laak has a tendency not to believe Sam Trickett.
Right. And also, guys like Trickett, I mean, you want to say guys like Trickett, Seidel, and Katchalov, where their class or perceived class is really going to show is river decisions. You know, and we're saying that after Trickett's knuckled it and Seidel's paid off Katchalov. But
6 resolute.
G.
Seidel withering down even more. He got check raised on the flop there.
That
just
sort of action, I got nervous.
Threw the 6s straight away.
And no flush draw.
5 players remain, all vying for first place and maximum points. Join us after the break. Welcome back to Party Poker's Premier League Poker Season 5. Group A's second league match is in action, with the players being awarded points according to which position they finish in. It's 16 points for the win, 11 for the runner-up, and then 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, and the bagel, that's 0 points. At the end of the season, it'll be the top 3 in each group that goes through to the final, and then 4th and 5th places will play heads-up for the last 2 seats on the final table. Let's head back over to the action with your commentators, Jessie May and Yevgeniy Timoshenko.
Katchalov's he's looked sort of a little bored the last couple of rounds, and yet he's dominating this heat.
Each day it was after dark or something.
Up over 800K.
Day, Leanne Tweeden would come in and say, "Yeah, now it's something," and you'd be like, "Wow, I made it into Wednesday," you know. And you're sitting there playing hour after hour, and you're like, "Wow, I made it to Thursday." That was fun. This is where I'm happy I haven't looked at my hand, because you would be able to figure out what I had.
Trickett could re-raise all in here for just over 11 or 12 big blinds. Does that give him enough fold equity against Katchalov?
I think he does have fold equity here with just 12 big blinds, because Eugene only min-raised it.
Must call. You sure?
And it appears that
I thought you had. That's so weird.
Tony.
This is a weird hand. I'm not playing any weird
Tony
hands.
G acted out of turn, didn't he? With Trickett considering the re-raise all in.
Honestly, no, because you got his stuff.
That could really cost Tony.
Not me. I have set it up so that my stack.
I didn't even see that.
I don't know exactly what happened. Either he tossed chips in, or he
as a gambler, you should
he made a verbal declaration. But he was. They said he had a binding call, and obviously that.
He might have done that to try to induce Trickett to shove. To shove.
To shove.
Yeah, you never want that.
Interesting. that would be quite clever, but it didn't work. Huh. What a great little move if that's true. I didn't exactly see it, but I'm not sure what he did either. What would the binding call have been if he tried to raise or said the word call out of turn?
Well, if he called out of turn and Sam Trickett shoved, I think he has the option to take his chips back. I could be wrong. It's only if Sam Trickett called, then he would be required to call.
Anyway, what's happened here? I think Tony G, has he led out for 30 on the turn, and Katchalov's raised to 100. And after the flop went check, check, Katchalov has maneuvered him off this.
That's a great play.
What's the thinking there for Katchalov?
Well, Tony bet very weak on the turn, so Katchalov figured Tony had a hand like a jack or a 7 that he was just trying to go to showdown cheaply with.
Seidel now the one who's petered away. It all went so quick. First Katchalov making the straight on the river, and then Tony G flopping top pair against his pocket pair. Seidel now down to about 8 big blinds. Laak and G.
Yep. Disasters in business. Check.
6 check.
I'm gonna go all in.
7 bedroom.
And
wow,
this is part of. I mean, is this not what you consider? Oh, he does have a flush draw, doesn't he? Okay, I thought Laak was off suit. This is kind of what you'd expect him to have, but with Tony's hand right now, what are you thinking?
Well, if you're putting him on a flush draw, you know that he has 2 overcards and a flush draw, which means best case scenario you're flipping. And there's a chance Laak is doing this with something better than 5s, in which case you're just crushed.
If they run it out, if all 2 things, she's killing the flop. I want to see. Don't worry about it.
I saw you had 5.
Oh, well, I had a big hand, but I wanted to see the flop turn the river. I mean, turn the river. I had a big hand there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wonder if the fact that it was only half of Tony G's stack should have played into it.
I think if Phil bet less, Tony G would have either moved all in or at least called. So by shoving and taking that option away from Tony, he actually made a very good play.
I want to get that bear back. He doesn't need it now.
He does not need the bear.
You can have that back for playing your kings that bad.
Yeah, you deserve that.
Give me the bear. Give me the bear. I want all my pets back.
I like it. He's been good to me.
I want all my animals back. So
Never has the phrase "throw the toys out of the pram" seemed so.
I know where you're coming from. It was when we were dilapidated. You gave us
Tony's
the force.
case, he wants his toys back in the pram.
Hold on.
so sick. I can't
He
believe
back my bear.
Maybe you weren't moving all in. What did you have?
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it. I wasn't like, definitely not. Maybe I wouldn't have done, but I was thinking about it. I had a close one.
Maybe you had the ace anyway.
Correct, and you like calling with anything
Katchalov
anyway.
wins
So what am I
this.
doing that for? Never.
Could end up with 18 points. Laak, of course, already guaranteed to have 20. And has Tony G no, he's called. I mean, there's a lot of good spots to re-raise Phil Laak right now if you're Tony G, especially with Seidel sitting on 5 big blinds and Laak showing he doesn't like to get the chips in.
That's true. But Tony has showed a propensity to underplay his hands before. So this is no surprise to me that he's just calling in the spot.
Is he allowed to bet that much? It's like the whole pot. You're betting 100?
80. 80's.
80's better. I can fold to 80. 100, it feels like a little bluffy action.
I had
a hand too. I had a big hand. I flopped something.
Well, Tony chooses to win it that way.
I just didn't like the way it was going.
There's Michael Toms, who was so close to becoming the qualifier that made it through to the main draw. The man who looks more like Jesus than Jesus himself. I don't know if you get to see him, Yevgeniy, with his hat and sunglasses on. Spitting image of Jesus Ferguson. And
no, I haven't seen him before.
Toms came through for the play money qualifiers, narrowly missing out that seat that Ben Wilanovsky took, who's the qualifier in Group B.
That would have been a great story if he made it through all the way from a play money qualifier.
Guys, hang on. Far out, sorry.
You know,
honestly, it's so difficult to see.
I think we were saying before that Tony G kind of made a weird move with the kings. It's happening again. I think that he can't really see Trickett's cards behind his chips.
That's because you're a magnetic personality, and that's what kills
She looked at me, that's why I folded. Like, just look at the player that's his action. Okay? Because if you look at me, then I think it's my turn.
What does your instinct say? Not what he should do, but does your instinct say that this is a call or a fold overall?
I think ace-queen is a call, and ace-10 is a clear fold. So ace-jack is right in the middle.
You can think about the best case scenario, worst case scenario for Katchalov. You know, he's got 800. He's chip leader no matter what. And maybe that's a factor as well.
Yeah, I think he makes a good lay down here. Even though he was flipping against against 2-10s. I think overall it was a pretty good laydown.
This is what we put up with, and it's working.
He's still in a great spot, and you don't know what's gonna happen next. These guys might knock themselves out, and he finds himself in the top 3 with a third of the chips in play.
4-4.
Geo like that.
Raise 4-6.
I was going to do that. Huh.
7-4. 2-4.
Boy, Seidel's looking for a spot to get his money in and cannot find one.
Whoops. Good catch.
2-hour penalty. Right car on the floor. What is that? 2 hours, 20 hands?
That was a good pitch. You didn't catch it.
You have to miss 4 hands, I think.
Is there a penalty
Sam, what's the
if
rule
your
for when you drop a card? It's 4 hands.
8 hands.
8 hands. One orbit.
Is that true?
4 hands.
I don't
Four hands
think
per
so.
card per run.
Well, we don't want him to go because he's the fish.
I don't
We gotta
think
leave him here.
so.
That was a beautiful pitch. Should have been caught right there. She should have just.
The rules are
Beautiful
several
catch.
pages long. I'd have to review them,
Can't get
but
penalized in this score.
I don't think
In
so.
a tournament, isn't that weird at the World Series how they give
Because
you
it wasn't intentional either. It was
I mean,
just
I think it may be up to the tournament director's discretion.
Yeah, you had a good hand, you won the money. But in the World Series that year, they would give you a penalcy anyway.
It would be.
final table,
Hey, you couldn't do it.
It would really hurt
give it
Tony
like
G
a-
right now to have to miss 8 hands.
If it was an accidental. If it's intentional, but if it's accidental, you're folding a hand.
Resolent.
Seidel over the top of Phil Laak, and he doesn't need to be stronger than Phil here to have made this move, does he? I mean, any 2 face cards, he pretty much has to do it with this number, doesn't he? Or, okay.
I just got into a decent position. So
Nice though. If he wins, you kind of balance up with him.
Balance the ranges.
maneuver again.
I had Jack 8. I know Jack 8 was going to win.
Yeah, he was so sure that 2s wasn't a bad hand to go with.
Yeah, when you think about it in blind.
And it's looking okay right now. Could be worse.
Even like a pair now would be alright.
Could be a lot worse. That looks like a flop where if you were ahead before, you're certainly in really bad shape.
How much is it?
Cyborg.
99.
Tony G calls Seidel the cyborg.
99.
That's kind of not much.
And Erik Seidel does not respond.
It's good. It's good for the game in a way. It keeps everybody in there.
100. 1.
Gives everyone some momentum.
Well, the blinds are going up here, Yevgeniy.
Yeah.
The next hand. And there does, I'll tell you one guy who was pretty upset
Going for it.
about that double up by Seidel. Obviously, Phil Laak, not only did he lose the chips, but
3-4.
it put him back in a match race against Seidel for this next placing.
Everyone is a little disappointed that Seidel double up. He's a great player, and the simple fact that they don't move up in points, everyone should be disappointed about that.
We'll see how often Phil Laak moves in on the flop here. God, if he does it, he may be getting called.
Check.
52.
I'm all in.
7 bet.
And, huh.
52. 6 raise.
Phil Laak is thinking to himself right now, this has just gone completely wrong, hasn't it? He's now put in, he's basically now, he's going to have to fold and have put in over half his stack in a sense, or almost half his stack.
You have a flush draw, right?
7-4.
Even if he thinks Tony G has a flush draw, he still can't call because Tony G's flush draw is probably better than his.
Honestly, at the back door, not flush.
Have a look. It's tight at the top, it's tight at the bottom. Big points on the line. And for Erik Seidel, he's short stacked but has recently doubled through, trying to get as many points as possible with each of these players now guaranteed 4, but 16 still available up at the top of the tree. Party Poker Premier League Poker 5 continues here in Vienna after the break.
This is the Party Poker Premier League Poker Season 5 coming to you from Vienna. 16 of poker's best have been divided into 2 groups of 8, and they're doing battle in this league format, accumulating points for where they finish in each match. The top 3 players in each group will go straight on to the final table, while those in 4th and 5th positions will play heads up for the last 2 seats. Group A's second league match is going on at the moment. Let's head back to the table.
In the middle of this Montesino Casino in Vienna, Phil Laak will be starting out this level in the big blind. You know, with 30,000 in and 80,000 back, I mean, how many considerations does he have when he gets shoved on? He looks, obviously.
Of course, he looks, but there's a lot of hands he has to call off, even if he doesn't like it.
Tell me one of the worst hands you'd call with, and is it slightly different because of the math element of the leaderboard, the points available, that kind of stuff?
Well, it's with him having so little chips, it's very unlikely Seidel or Trickett are going to buzz before him. So
he's made a call. He's got at least a face card, it looks like. And maybe 2 live cards.
He's made a good call with Jack 8. Jack 8 is definitely in that category of hands you have to call after having 30,000 in the big blind and just 80,000 behind.
Well, Laak is not guaranteed to be the points leader after this. If he takes the 4 points in his 16, he'll have 20, but a very strong possibility that he will hold his lead, and well, now an even stronger possibility that he'll double up and maybe hang on for a higher placing. Ooch!
Okay, the butcher came in.
Wow. Butcher came in. So
they did it the cruel way.
the 20 points that Laak will take here, he'll feel good about his performance through 2 heats. But what this means now is that Group A is going to be tight at the top and in the middle, especially if someone like Katchalov takes the 16 points. Phil Laak taking 4, and all these players now guaranteed 6. They all want that 16 for sure.
We lose Phil Laak. He gets 4 points for this heat to add to the 16. That makes 20. How does that change the strategy for you now?
Basically, the nuts and bolts is that if I get in the top half in the next 2 heats, I pretty much qualify for the final table. So that's a 50-50 shot, then a 50-50 shot. So it's 20, 25, 75. So I'm 75% if it's a coin tossing match all the way through to make the final table. Actually, it's a little more than that because I can qualify with 23 and 24 in some other circumstances, possibly. So yeah. So I'm 75, 83% in that range, and it feels good.
Of the players left, Yevgeniy, Sam Trickett has the most points in hand with 6. He took 4th place in the first heat. So the most points that the leader could have right now is 22 if Trickett comes back to win. But you can just feel how tight it'll be with most of the bottom of the leaderboard getting in the top 3 spots.
Yeah, even if Trickett wins, Katchalov is likely going to get, almost certainly going to get top 3, probably top 2, which would definitely make the point standings very, very close.
And Katchalov has raised this. Seidel with the 1 big blind peeled it off, and they're just going to get the money in here, I guess.
Yeah, I don't see how Erik does anything but get the money in after defending the big blind with Jack 7 suited. The question is whether he check raises all in or just open shoves, and we already have the answer to that.
Yeah, he went for the check raise.
You got to play this one again. As long as it comes like a 9, it's got 2 pairs.
He was never going to get credit for an ace, so yeah, maybe the open shove, but it's going to have the same result either way. And against the 2 pair, he's probably got one of the best draws you could have. Well, he certainly does now.
How easy was that?
Great news for Seidel if the board doesn't pair ace or 9.
No miracles.
Think about how Seidel has maneuvered his way through this heat. Now, he has had to win 2 races, but even considering that, Yevgeniy, he's done well to get here.
Absolutely.
Hasn't exactly been blessed with a run of the cards, has Erik Seidel, and you know, his VPIP has been very low, as has his 3-bet percentage, his steal attempts. It's all on the low side.
I've got 8 World Series bracelets and 1 WPT title. That's about it. I mean, you know, you win when you can. It was an honor to be put into the Hall of Fame, mostly because there are so many great players throughout the years that are in there, people that I've played with and people that I've heard about. So to join that group was a nice honor. At this point, I'm playing. It's a sort of a personal challenge for me. You know, still trying to figure the game out, still trying to figure the players out. I mean, it's great that the game keeps advancing. You know, for me, it would be better if it never advanced. but you gotta keep up. Last year in January, I made over $3 million, and the whole year it was $6.5 million. So. I have yet to get started this year, and maybe the Party Premier League will start things off. The entry fee for this tournament is $125,000, so this is going to be the strongest lineup they've ever had. So doing well here, I think, would be great.
I mean, I know it's early for the leaderboard dynamics to come into it, Yevgeniy, but when you think about Sam Trickett, the 3 players that are left in this heat with him are right now like his 3 biggest competitors. You know, they're the ones who finished the 3 places below him in the Heat A. So even just outlasting one of them right now is going to really help him in the league.
But you can't really look at it like that. I think
it's early for that, yeah.
You have to look out for your own best interest first and foremost, and just make the right decisions and maximize your chances of winning.
You think those considerations really come into play in the last heat and not before?
Yeah, I would say so.
Tony G has raised Erik Seidel, got called with Seidel having the ace, then checked. No, pardon me. Seidel raised this. Tony G called in the big blind, and now it's been checked all the way down. Tony sticking in a bet on the river. Seidel's trying to decide if he can beat anything. It's a funny little value bet for Tony G, isn't it? I guess it is. I mean, you have to put Seidel on ace high here, don't you?
Yeah, ace high, or maybe a pair under the 10, like a 5s or 6s type hand. I think if Tony were to check, there's a good chance Seidel would have tried to bluff this river, to bluff Tony off a hand like he has, or get him off a chop with ace high. So it's not necessarily a bad bet by Tony. It might get value some of the time, and it also prevents him from getting bluffed.
Seidel, as you pointed out, known for his good river decisions. And he's in the tank here. I can tell you one thing, if Seidel calls and then gets shown the 10 and has to muck, Tony's not going to let him hear the end of it. I could say it'll be 8, 9, 10 minutes of crowing.
Sick bet. Only the sideboard can pay off.
Now it starts. Happy as Tony G.
Not Phil Hellmuth. He would fold.
Happy as Tony G. Chip leader, he got high Seidel to pay him off with ace high.
Too good of a player to fold that. It's true.
Tell him, Tony, third
It's a
pair.
compliment, right? In a way, it's nice. Like, I played the 310.
Seidel now under 10 big blinds.
60.
So Trickett has what, just enough to fold to Seidel's all in? You don't really, do you?
I think that's his plan. I like that Tony's re-raising here. Trickett has been very aggressive on a shortish stack, and no one's really come after him and punished him for making such wide raises.
I thought I'd go for one.
Tony ready to say, feel my power.
I'm committed.
Erik Seidel has been made to scratch for every chip he's got here, while Tony G did come out of nowhere to take this big chip lead.
Wait, 70.
Wow. Now how should Katchalov think about this?
This is actually a tough spot for him because both Sam Trickett and Erik Seidel have 10 big blinds. But his hand is so huge that he can't afford to play it slow.
You almost got to gamble. I mean, if Tony G's got one of the big three, you're just going to be unlucky.
Yeah, he definitely wishes he got this hand a little later after one of them busted. But I agree with his play. He can't do anything but shove. I think just calling would be underplaying your hand too much, considering it's only four-handed, and Jacks is such a strong hand.
Exactly the way Eugene likely thought about it. Still got 800K. But yeah, you gulp, and you imagine if those Jacks were 10s or 9s, it would have been even trickier, I guess.
Yeah. I think he still would have shoved with those hands. But the further down it goes, the more marginal a spot it becomes.
4 folds.
Min raise from Katchalov. Wow. Well, this could call for a unique play, couldn't it?
No, I don't think so. Seidel's so short to the point where Katchalov is going to call with many hands, including this one.
He'll be getting such a good price here. 210 to win 345. It's over 6-4. And with Seidel's range.
Yeah, he only has 8 big blinds. Katchalov put in 2. He can be in a 55-45 or 60-40 spot a lot that he, or even a coin flip that I think he has to call with King 10 here.
10.
He's looks like he's trying to find a reason to fold. Would there be one?
I didn't realize that Erik had 30,000 more than he did. I didn't count the big blind, but I think it's still a call.
Call.
He's made the call, and Seidel, he looks slightly embarrassed. Just aces. Katchalov's like, yeah, give me a shot. 13%. Would obviously be quite a turn up for Katchalov to outdraw this hand.
That's pretty safe.
Especially now.
I had 7-5.
There's some backdoor potential though.
The 9. Oh, on the wrong end.
So close, 7-5 spades.
And I guess maybe not a bad result for Tony G, I wonder. I mean, to sort of flatten everybody else out. Classically, he should be able to exert pressure.
That's true. But I think you'd still rather take the safe sure thing of more points rather than flattening this out.
Right, it's not a win-only spot, is it?
Yeah.
I hate it. I wouldn't call.
waiting for the bushers to arrive. That's what this feels like. Lambs to the slaughter.
6 ball.
And Tony's obviously, he limped to call a shove, or well, Seidel's actually got 20 big blinds now, so. That's good play, isn't it? For Seidel to just not even consider that Tony would be at it there.
Yeah, I think Erik can still peel because Tony doesn't have to have an ace in that spot.
When Sam Trickett this past year got to the final table of the Partouche Poker Tour, it was a very big top-heavy prize, £1 million. He actually went into that final as chip leader, but got knocked back very short, I think 4 or 5-handed, and then really just went bananas with the all-ins, and ended up coming up back and taking the title anyway. Katchalov decided to get the money in first. Tony says it's not marginal at all. Easy decision for him. Well, they're not taking too long with their decisions, and the blinds have gone up again. What did you make of that level, Yevgeniy? I mean, who plays it the best now, or is it a dead tie with these big blinds?
I don't think anyone has a very big edge at this blind level. No one's gonna make any egregious mistakes. Everyone's pretty short stacked, so when they pick up a hand, they're gonna go with it.
The V-chip percentage has gone down for, well, I guess maybe it's just balanced out, but it seems that players can't get super active with these big blinds. Every bet's an all-in, and the blind's now 20, 40,000. Certainly Katchalov, who may have felt like he was leaning towards folding now, is going to have to adjust. This is the one area where Tony G has been fairly consistent, limping in, and sometimes you get in these spots, don't you?
Oh, wow.
40,000.
I can't imagine he doesn't check raise here.
6 raise. 200.
He has. We're going in.
Yep.
This is going to get ugly for Tony G. And Seidel could finish up chip leader here if the flush don't come.
6 card. Showdown please.
Wow.
Not even the king's good.
Well done. You got to avoid the flush now.
Is there a story here, Yevgeniy, that when you try and avoid getting too many chips in before the flop and you let the flops happen, there's this chance, the cooler comes?
Not against the sideboard.
There is this chance.
It's got to be the club. It's not. Nope. And Tony G's not happy. He can blame Zasko. But the sideboard got him. Now Seidel, who only started the day with 2 points in hand, if he can get 16, sky's the limit.
Tony G is visibly rattled and upset after losing a big pot to Erik Seidel. Group A's second league match continues after the break.
Welcome back. Before the break, we saw Tony G lose a massive pot to Erik Seidel, and he lost his big chip lead.
Sideboard never loses.
Takes tremendous willpower for Erik Seidel to stay quiet. Which one is Tony right now? I don't think he feels like the lion. I don't think he looks like the bear. Katchalov a little light here.
I don't think this is light at all.
Standard then?
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Against aces, you're not going to be doing too well with this hand, but
Aces.
overall, 8-9 suited is a great hand to wake up with on the button and shove for 12 big blinds.
You're actually quite excited to find it. I mean, quite happy. Yeah.
I'd go out third.
But for Katchalov,
there's no risk for.
That's a TV flop. No risk. What's wrong with you?
Come on.
It's the worst. What do you mean? Come on. I love that. I don't love that flop. That's like one of the worst flops for me.
It's not really. What you think about it. It gives you more chances than pre-flop. Much more. You should have taken one spade on the flop too, but still.
Jack
I like your hand
or
a lot. I had a
6.
6 though.
And,
tell you what.
you know,
I think you've got me covered. Yeah.
Katchalov has a couple reasons to feel a bit aggrieved. He doesn't, if he ends up going out in fourth, it'll feel like he got less than he deserved tonight, I think.
It's only me.
Yeah, fourth.
It would, but if you look at it in hindsight, getting 4th place out of 8 in a field like this is still fine. He gets 6 points, and that's still workable. He has 2 more heats, and if he gets another win, he's suddenly in a great position.
Right. 9 points. I mean, 18 points is has every chance of being on the bubble of the playoff zone. Every chance.
I thought you had the 8-9.
I thought you play with your hands.
It's a suited connector.
I mean,
his hands though. I call that all in. I call that all in. I think he's bluffing. I'm going to call.
It's a big hand.
Raise it.
3 all in.
But yeah, he's left with very few chips after losing to the aces, and
4-4.
Trickett obviously now as many chips as Seidel.
6-4.
Should Seidel raise to knock Tony out of the way, or is there the implied bonus of knocking a player out?
This is a very close spot, because Erik definitely has the best hand.
Sidewalk thinking about nastiness, nasty things, nasty thoughts. Can't help himself. Squeeze the G
There's
out.
also a lot of merit to just checking here and taking it 3 ways and making sure that Eugene doesn't triple up.
It's an interesting spot.
Check.
6 check. Bet 40,000.
Hope you got it. Like. Fold.
Have 3 outs.
Showdown, please.
No outs.
Drawing dead is Katchalov.
Sideball got me out.
Yeah, I'm looking at.
And river card wouldn't have changed anything.
Doesn't help. Well, I got third, guys.
Seidel will
Happy.
take the chips.
You
And
should
for
be happy with
Katchalov,
that.
a hard-fought
I'm
battle.
ready.
He actually
I got
made some
third.
great
I'm
plays.
taking
He'll
third.
think about his
You have to
marginal
play.
folds,
You want to stop?
and he'll take 6 points.
I have
I
third.
object. I object.
Going into the 3-handed, Tony G's trying to make a deal with the points, but he's not out of it. He's not guaranteed third here, Tony G. I mean, he's got every chance, doesn't he?
Of course, 1 double up and it's a flip-flop and the chip counts.
So that's 6 points for Eugene, which is 9 overall. It seemed like Sam Trickett was putting you in some tough spots at the table, causing you to think through your decisions. Describe some of the factors that you were considering.
Just a lot of tough spots. I had some hands which were really, really close calls. I could have gone either way. I really wasn't sure what to do. I think I made the right decisions for most of them. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not much to say. I just kind of ran into hands when you also had hands.
Moving forward into the next heat with 9 points, towards the middle of the pack, is that going to change your strategy at all?
I'm not sure yet. I'm glad I didn't bust out right away because then I'd have almost no shot. So now I'm still in there. So
Still in with a shot. Thanks so much.
all right.
around the casino with 3 players left in Group A's Heat 2. You can only really go on Premier League Poker 4's results because that was the only time we used this point allocation, Yevgeniy Timoshenko. But last season, at the end of 2 matches, I believe the leading chip counts for the league were either 27 or 32 in the different groups. And here in Group A, if Sam Trickett wins, he'll be leading the league with 22, or Phil Laak will be leading with 20. That's a significant difference.
Like you both could have been all in, then we have a fair fight now.
Doing his best to still be upset about doubling up Erik Seidel. Meanwhile, Katchalov's got knocked out. He's picked up the aces. Trickett's shoved. He's about to be he's about to be in great shape.
No, not yet. At least, like, whatever comes, I'm going to have one more out. That's safe.
Count your chips.
That's fair now.
Count your chips, you big kid, and stop moaning.
Just give me 40,000.
He's still trying to act upset. Basically now, he's got as good a chance to win, or even better than he had before the hand against Seidel.
What is there to be upset about?
You know,
he wanted the other ace. He wanted the ace of spades instead of the ace of hearts.
Something like that.
You can't get rid of me that easy. 390.
He's up in his second. He's got an average stack. So 3 left, and literally not much in it at all. Yeah, Yevgeniy, and you think, we were talking about the point totals for that actually this distribution is going to be quite typical, which is that it's going to be just so tight up until the very end.
There's really no weak links, so you expect everyone to have even amount of top 3 finishes and an even amount of early exits for a lot of these players.
This now 18 blinds. Tony thinking it's not enough to shove. He's got, I'll tell you, he's got a lot of heart, because this is the kind of stuff that got him in trouble last time. I wonder if he'll reshove here.
I would think that was his play. I'm surprised Seidel didn't just come out with a shove, because if Tony shoves here, it's going to be really tough on Seidel.
This is similar to the play he made against Ralph Perry.
It is, minus the speech.
I guarantee you, if Seidel was to call off here with King Jack, we would get it. And Erik,
why are you so unhappy?
Laughing there. As Sam said, really, you've got no reason to be, do you?
Don't mess around with me. Like, everyone thinks I'm not getting any respect.
No respect.
Like, I'm limping in. I could have a hand too, right? I don't have to just be a donkey.
No one said that. You're
my animals. Zasko here on top of the bear.
We know you're a nice guy.
That's a Russian bear.
We're not bothered how you play poker. We understand that you're not very good. You're a nice guy. You're a really nice guy, so.
Big heart.
Yeah, big heart, nice guy. We need that dummy back, don't we? We need that pacifier back. That's what we need.
90,000.
The pacifier.
Now Seidel with an opportunity to shove. I mean, he's the chip leader, but there's so little in it.
To resolve.
Yeah, Seidel has to shove here, especially because Tony's going to be very tight against Seidel's shove, with Sam Trickett having just 14 big blinds.
You got to stick him on there. Little team now.
5 more.
Speak of the Ralph Perry hand.
Raise. 8. 4.
Well, we haven't seen a flop in a while. And those are cards that, if one hits, the other is not going to be far behind.
check.
Oh, wow.
Built for comedy, this.
6-bet, 50,000.
I don't know how he did it, but Seidel just checked back on the flop, and this is going to be a much smaller pot than we anticipated.
Right, it's only going to get big if Seidel hits, right?
Yep.
And the king is now a good card as well. That's the ace or 9. Yeah, I mean, try and explain. Is there any logic thinking about Seidel checking back on the flop beyond the fact that he may have actually picked up something off Tony G? To you, is that the most likely thing?
I actually like it. It's very creative, and when you do hit a 9 or an ace, your hand is very disguised because you expect most people that flop a strong open-ended straight draw like that to come out and bet it rather than check it back. So I think it was a very good tricky play, and as it turned out, it probably cost Tony G a double up and saved Seidel a lot of chips.
Could very well have been the move that wins Erik Seidel this heat, if that's what happens.
All in.
For Resolin.
And
590.
Too much to call?
Not for Tony G.
Not for Tony G. I mean, he wants to gamble, doesn't he?
Well, it's a good call.
Who's all in, by the way? Well,
Doesn't matter.
Quite close.
No, I don't.
It's a big call. Oh, Tony G.
I don't care. Well, you got to win. There's a big difference.
If Sam woke up with an ace-2 or a king-2 suited, he'd definitely be shoving that in, too.
He's free for you, anything now. A deuce, give me hope. That's fair. 50-50.
Big card here. Big card for Tony G. Big card for Trickett.
Yes! King Ralph Perry destroyed, finally. I've got him covered. Come on, I understand. They know upstairs. That's Ralph Perry. That's why I smelled it. I smelled the rat. Zaska smelled the rat. Ralph Perry was hiding in that hand. Now I got you. It's bike time.
I don't blame you for gambling.
No, it doesn't make any difference now.
You got to gamble, haven't you?
No, it's because of first place and 3 points or...
Well, you need to gamble anyway.
We're gambling for 10 points.
You need to gamble, of course.
And I need to gamble.
You need to gamble.
And I need to gamble. And you need to gamble.
You need to gamble.
And you gamble too.
I was gambling.
Everyone's a winner.
5. You've got me covered, right? Yeah.
I got you covered like a baby.
Trickett will take 8 points to add to his 6. He's going to have 14.
It's not that bad of a call, is it?
It's a great call.
Sam, let's talk about the dynamic at the table today. Who do you think is playing this format well?
I find that the younger players play this the format a lot better than the older school guys. Like, I've seen it twice today where they like keep calling off with pocket 2s, and it's like I thought that after playing for that long they would realise that when you call off with 2s there, you're at very best 50-50. So I find it quite funny that like my exit hand he called with 2s for 15 big blinds. It's quite funny, but yeah, I definitely think like Tony's making a lot of mistakes in that format, but like it's working out for him. Like he's found some hands in the right time, so it's all good.
Okay, well, good luck going forward. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Join us after the break as Tony G and Erik Seidel battle it out to win the maximum 16 points in a bid to go top of Group A's league table here in Vienna.
And we are heads up for the first group's second match. Now, Tony, you've been known to get a little volatile at the table, a little bit heated earlier on. You've got some of your props and your toys around you. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. They're helping me. All my animals are really sort of calming me down. My stress levels are down. Although I'm still really anxious to win this one. I really think I need a win. I'm the outsider, so I want to really cause a huge upset, beat the best player in the world here.
And going over to Erik, you came in with only a couple of points, so this is really crucial for you. Obviously now you get 11 guaranteed, so that's great. You feeling pretty good about your position here?
Well, no. I mean, he's got the big chip advantage, and he's been playing great, so I'm at a significant disadvantage here. Plus, he's got the animals, you know, and it's hard to overcome the whole menagerie. So,
You're not just fighting on Tony G, you're also fighting his entire menagerie here.
Exactly, yeah. They're obviously incredibly lucky animals, so I don't know how I can overcome it.
Well, good luck, gentlemen. If you would shake hands, and back to your commentators.
Things have gotten crazy. And when things get crazy, sometimes it takes a crazy man to come out on top. Right now, the crazy man is on top. It's Tony G. Not a 2-1 chip lead, but not far off, versus Erik Seidel, both of whom have a chance to grab those extra 5 points. And for Tony G, a chance to be coach group leader on 20 points if he can finish off Erik Seidel, who's had a slightly different trip to this final 2. Seidel's gutted and grinded his way. He has rebuffed all of Tony G's offers for antagonism and needling. And I think we've finally seen Tony come into his own during this heat. He knows what he has to do to win, Tony G. He has to use his emotion to his advantage, use his animals, use his power. And here, gonna peel off the flop with the 8-3 suited.
Check.
Yevgeniy, don't you expect Tony G to try and just push things and try and get Seidel to get the cards on their back?
That's what he should be doing, but I'm not sure if that's actually how he's going to play it. This spot, for example, as we can see, he could definitely make a move here and steal the spot, but I don't know if he's actually going to pull the trigger and do it.
A call has little value here, though, right? I mean, if you're going to come in, or can you set up a bluff?
Well, you could call, but if you're going to try to bluff, I think the best way is to just raise the flop.
30,000, 60,000. Seidel, just over 15 bigs.
Raise it.
And
Raise 70 more.
Tony, just slightly more than a min raise. Seidel could think this is ahead of an average hand. It is.
Total 130.
Call. More in the mood to look at flops even if he's out of position, Erik Seidel?
Yeah, he probably thinks he has a post-flop edge on Tony G, so he's gonna try to see flops rather than shove in pre.
Check.
Free card. We'll see if probably the board having paired, not a great card to try and bluff on.
Yeah, Seidel.
Check.
Seidel probably doesn't think Tony's going anywhere.
Not really happy about paying Tony off, but it doesn't really seem like he's going to have any choice at all. King's got way too much value on a double paired board.
Trying to find a king. Have a king underneath.
Oh, dear. Winning pots makes Tony so happy.
On the river? Cool. Oh, pre-flop, yeah. I was qualified. You saved your money.
Both these players have good read, Tony. Have obviously had a very good heat. The result pulling Seidel up from a horrible first heat straight into things. Just the 11 points would give him 13. I imagine that'll put him into the playoff zone. Seidel choosing to limp in one time, and Tony G agreeable. Seidel limping in with the ace, in fact.
Check.
And right away, Tony's got a decision to make.
10 more.
Pair's too strong to fold right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's much of a decision. I don't think he can really raise it on such a wet board, because then he would have to fold if Erik Seidel re-raised. And a pair is definitely too strong to fold heads up in the spot.
A card that looks like it would hit a lot of Seidel's range that didn't beat Tony before. In fact, it didn't. But does Seidel have any information to double barrel here?
Check. A double barrel would be a great play. The way Tony acted on the flop, I thought he looked very weak, so you can narrow his range down to mostly sixes and maybe some very weak tens. So that would that would steer me to double barreling, I think.
Tony got the checks, and he's got the chips, which will also take Seidel down to an even 10 big blinds, and an even 3-1 chip lead. Seidel with the option to shove.
Call.
He's taken another road.
I'm actually surprised at this.
Do you think he may have limped strong here? No.
Check.
I guess he's just trying to give himself as many chances to get it in good as he can.
That's true.
Check. 60.
This has gone all pear-shaped for Seidel. The only question really is how many chips is he going to lose from this point forward.
Raise all in.
It's like the laugh there, I think, from Seidel, because he kind of knows what it means, and it's a bit unfortunate, isn't it? It's kind of a cooler, in a sense.
Yeah, I like this aggressive play from Tony. Let Seidel feel his power.
It's the paired board obviously makes it even worse for Seidel. He knows if he's behind, he's so far behind, he's out, basically. And, you know, he's got very few outs. And he's going to go with it. I guess mentally he was committed when he made that turn bet.
That's what I figured you had. Four. You got to catch a 4, I guess.
All right.
It's Tony G.
Donkey's back. If the 4 comes, you just... At least I played it all right.
If the 4 comes.
Yeah! Date with an 8.
For Erik Seidel, 11 points, a great performance, but for Tony G,
I love it.
Feel his power. He's back in the Premier League.
Adding 11 points to the first 2 points from the first match. It's not a win, which I know you were looking forward to. How does that change things going forward for you?
Well, it's good. It gets me on the board. You know, I mean, it's, I'm in the mix now, which is important. You know, if I had done poorly today, it would have been really a disaster.
Come on, let's go.
Adding 16 points to the 4 that he already has in the bag, and a win. Congratulations, Tony. You must be feeling pretty pleased right now.
Yeah, very pleased, very happy. Really tough field, great players. I thought I played the very best game I could play today, and I came through with a huge victory. And following my nemesis, Patrick Antonius, when I heard he won last week, I was absolutely desperate to show him that I can also ride on his tail and to chase him in that final.
And he didn't have any animals at the table. I mean, even Erik Seidel said he was a little intimidated by your menagerie there. Did they bring you luck?
They brought me a lot of luck, and I got to dedicate the victory to Warren Lush, my manager, who does an unbelievably good job, looks after me, and he came up with the animals to relax me, to calm me down, to give me more power, even more strength. And with the animals behind me, I came through with a major victory today.
Go Zasco. Okay, well, good luck.
Zasco.
Good luck in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
These are Group A's league standings after 2 heats. Joined first is Phil Laak and Tony G with 20 points. And Sam Trickett moves up to join them in the top 3. Andy Frankenberger is now down in the playoff zone and is joint fourth with Erik Seidel, who moves up after his second place finish. Dropping down into the relegation zone is Eugene Katchalov and Matthew Frankland. Luke Schwartz remains at the bottom of the pile with a mountain now to climb.
Congratulations to Tony G, who takes maximum points in Group A's second league match. Join us next time when Group B takes to the felt again in a bid to accumulate points and make it onto that final table for a chance to be crowned Premier League 5 champion.
I'm so bad at folding.
Nothing quite like having the second nuts.
It hurt you too much to fold the small blind to me 3 times in a row.
Good news.
Kid does it again.